All right, Jody. No countdown, none of that stuff. We're just going live. How you doing, my friend?
I missed you, my friend. It's like it's been forever because, like we just said, before we went live, the last time we were live, you had some power issues, and I was trying my best to carry the show. So,
Well, you did
it's
a
good
great
to
job, and that was an unfortunate circumstance that happened.
it's
However,
good to have my buddy in crime back because there were times I was like, okay, I'm doing my best, and I was just talking, which I don't mind doing, but it's always good to have some feedback. You
of
know what I
course
mean?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we got a chance to unpack all that stuff, but I mean, you did a good job of it. So let's move on
Yes.
because we have an event that happened last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit, let's, before we get into any matches, a little weird. So let's start with the press conference. Did you happen to watch the press conference?
I didn't see any of it because, like I said, I was the whole weekend was about my son and I, so I didn't see any of that stuff. So
Well, it was interesting in the sense that it was the Devin Larratt show, if I'm being honest. He um he was attempting to pull Macho Man arm wrestling. God, I count on you, brother. Welcome to the show. But he's attempting to pull controversy out of these guys that just want to talk about their matches, right?
right,
And it was almost like a setup for his next match, not shining a spotlight on the guys that were actually competing.
ah,
So if you probably heard, there's some talk now about Devin Larratt pulling Alex Kurdecha, and they
wow,
were being awfully presumptuous, and in my opinion, not giving enough respect to Rick Heidebrecht, who, arguably, I mean, okay, we'll get into the matches later, but and then my name came up,
why?
and Devin Larratt pretends like he forgets my name and says some guy from Winnipeg, and I'm not from Winnipeg. I'm from Portage La Prairie. Get it right, and you know that because you stayed at my house, you piece of trash. But you, you
Oh,
know
wow,
you you brought my name up just to shit on it. That's the only reason it came up. So what else can I
damn.
say about it? He brought it up. He got people to comment on where they thought my level was, and that's it. So it
Have,
was.
haven't you haven't you challenged him years
I'm not.
ago and he's never accepted? Is that how that went down?
There was challenges years ago, and I've beaten him before, and I beat him right-handed at the Arnold's years ago, and he won't. I don't know. He doesn't want the match, but he won't shut up either. So it's I don't care. I
Wow.
don't care to arm wrestle him. I don't care to be in a room with him. I don't care about being in the same province with him. If I'm being completely honest, if he stops by my house or if he travels through Manitoba, he's not welcome here. And those are my thoughts. But
I knew you had this, and I don't want to use the word disdain, but I knew you had this. We'll say feeling. I knew you had this feeling about him, and it goes way back, and it cuts deep. But
it
I
does
didn't
cut deep
realize.
because, and I sorry to cut you off, Jody, but this is not about arm wrestling anymore. This is personal,
Right.
and he only brings my name up to try to take value off of it and leave me with less. And it's been a common theme that's happened over the years. So whatever.
Where everybody in the chat, welcome. Good morning, wherever you're coming from. Stevie, Warren, GB, Macho Man, Robin Chandler, Marcus, and everybody. Welcome to the show. Please do not forget to hit the like button as we're speaking about this. But um, what total disrespect. Ryan Espy, multi-time provincial champion,
You want it?
multi-time.
It gets better. It gets better, Jody.
Oh, there's more. Oh, I can't
He
wait.
made the comment that the Ontario Provincial Championships was a tougher tournament than the Canadian Nationals.
How so?
Didn't elaborate. He just said, "Didn't you already win a harder tournament if you won the Ontario Provincials?" So, I mean, that kind of made me think a little bit about his disdain for Canadian arm wrestling in general. Maybe the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He certainly, if based on his career, he will be someday. But based on all the other crap, maybe it'll be a while.
And that's unfortunate because it almost sounds like he doesn't have Canada's back.
You would if it stopped at the border between Manitoba and Ontario. That's as far as it goes, man. And I'm from Ontario. That's the thing that people don't realize. But they almost consider Northwestern Ontario to be not part of it. Like I was born in Thunder Bay.
Right
there in Kyle Rayner territory, which shout out to Kyle Rayner. And I'm going to say this wrong if I don't pull it up. But I'm taking part in his challenge, his Higher Standards Lifestyle Transformation Challenge. Starts today. I don't know if you can still get in on it, but shout out to Kyle Rayner, and hit him up on Instagram for sure if you want to get in on that. But I'm already down almost 30 pounds from nationals, and I'm going all the way to 300.
Kyle Rayner, huh? I'm about to get a hold of him because I know my fat butt can use some weight loss. I mean, I'm at 230, but still, it's just,
Anyway, I'm ranting, Jody. Maybe we should get into the actual match component to this thing before I piss somebody off and someone rappels down the side of my house and comes through a window.
Let's do it. Me and Charlie Brown are ready.
All right. So now you got to keep in mind, okay, the precursor to all this, I haven't seen any of them. I haven't seen any of the matches. The issue is they had this pay-per-view. Now, there was some controversy because the pay-per-view, I mean, first of all, as arm wrestling pay-per-views go, it was quite expensive. It was $18 for 5 matches. And if you compare that to like the East versus West or the
King of the
Table, that's a little bit rich for a lot of people. And then you find out that it's not live. It's actually pre-recorded and then released
really?
as a Zoom meeting. Yeah, it's not even like a live stream kind of situation. It was released in a Zoom meeting where they could have put it on YouTube with a private link. I mean, they could have done that, but I mean, some people might have stolen it. I don't know. I don't know the rationale behind what they did. But we weren't watching live arm wrestling at that point.
Wow.
So I didn't end up buying it, but I did listen to Aussie Arm Wrestler's commentary, and he was getting really, really pissed off that someone in the comment section was talking about the results before he had actually seen the pay-per-view.
This is why you don't do pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a hang-up on that one. So there was that. It was the price of it, which I don't have a problem with. But I knew that it was supposed to start at 1 o'clock, the event.
Right.
And then by the time I got to the pay-per-view time, I was like, what the hell? Isn't the event over? And it was over. So I don't know.
Now, Robin Chandler is in the chat, and she was actually there.
She pulled the tournament and did very well.
Right. So Robin Chandler, by all means, welcome to the show, by the way. Please enlighten us on how the event was. Big shout out to Magda. She's the one that helped put this big event on. There's no secret about who won. I just don't know a goddamn thing because no one's really talking about it. Only a few people that I know of are actually discussing it. So, unless you watch the live with Aussie Arm Wrestler or someone else, no one's really talking about it. So,
I mean, you listen to Pradeep's show too, and he's talked about the results. And he talked about leading up to the matches, how people that could have talked a whole lot more about them. And he used Matt Mask as an example. And that's a good example because Matt can post a video of him washing his hands and it gets 12,000 views,
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about. So I mean, why didn't he make videos leading up to it? You know, all the stuff. Could have helped with the promotion a little bit more. Is what his point was.
Yeah.
I know it's not his job to do that, but could have been a better, more heavily purchased event if that were the case.
I know I saw a lot of photos leading up to it. Artem's, oh, I'm in town. You know, whether, you know, I didn't see a whole lot of Porkchop and Toddzilla going into it. I saw a picture of Crassy arriving in town. There's a picture of Magda and Kerdeka, you know, so you knew what was going on, but again, you just didn't see or hear a whole lot about it. I think the only reason why I heard results is because, you know, Artem got on Facebook and said, hey, by the way, I got my butt kicked by BLM. You know, did Mike Gould pull?
He did not.
Okay, because I saw him on the actual poster.
I think originally he was supposed to. Like there was a few cancellations. Like this was yeah, I agree, Robin. Matt looked exceptional, and leading up to that event, he looked way healthier, and maybe we're seeing the Matt Mask 2.0 that we were waiting for.
Right.
Now, keeping in mind, his original opponent was supposed to be Lars Verbarken.
Yeah.
And Lars got injured, and Crassy, I'm saying it right now, Crassy stepped in on short notice and took the match.
And kudos to
what
him.
made me, you want to start there, Jody? You want to start with that match? Because I have thoughts that led up to it. My thoughts leading up to it were Crassy. I was nervous for him when he first showed up because I saw photos of him and he looked smaller.
Isn't he off the sauce now?
He's natty. So I think Pradeep said it in his show. Get back on all the juice, like.
No, I'm gonna say this now because some people may or may not know how I feel about this, but I'm gonna say this. When Crassy was on, you know, the sauce or whatnot, Robin says he's recovering from illness. But even I think I got more respect for Crassy now because now he wanted to try. It's almost like it's a project. Like I'm gonna try this without being on the sauce just to see if I can still compete or not at this higher level.
Yeah.
So I respect.
What's going to happen?
What's that?
People are going to see Crassy in that form, and they're going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to be wanting matches with him. And the version that they get is not going to be the guy they saw in that video. Like it's going to be Crassy back to, you know, Kerdeka beating form.
Right. And like I said, I mean, you know, I respect him for even trying that. You know, let me see if I can, you know, still compete at this level while being natural. You know, yeah, you know, and I respect the hell out of that. You know, yes, natural for life. The little NWO for life.
It's interesting. So Matt kind of, I mean, all I knew is that Matt dominated.
Right.
And I assume Matt dominated in typical Matt fashion with a nice big low hand top roll. In the press conference, I found it interesting that they kind of cross-reference Matt with Chance Shaw. And I think that would be a pretty interesting match myself. That would tell some stories.
Ooh. Crassy versus RVJ natty match.
Well, Crassy can get down to a weight that RVJ might find interesting.
Right. And before I get off topic, how do you feel about this, Ryan? If you have two people that want to pull each other for a match, and one's like up here and one's down there, you know, is it who's the responsibility of as far as where to meet weight wise? Who's that responsible? The guy that called the other guy out or what?
You know what I think? If you're calling out somebody, you don't put demands on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll use you as an example. How much do you weigh?
Right now, 355.
So 355, and I'm 230, and I challenge you. You know, hey, we'll put $1,000 on the line. I'm gonna challenge you. You know, but you got to meet me at, you know, 260.
That's like a year-long commitment. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
But I mean, let's just say if you were 260 and I was 220, you got to meet at 230. Do you accept the match or do you not? Just curious.
Well, no, because that's my whole. That's just too big of it. I mean, too big of a commitment to get down there,
Right.
and you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, that's a big commitment.
Yeah.
But if you're calling out somebody, you should be calling them out in the form that they're in. That's it.
There you go.
You can't say I'm calling you out. Oh, but here you got to do these things. No, no.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic. I just want to, because there's been some rumblings that I know of about something going on. I just want to kind of get your thoughts on that because I was kind of thinking the same thing, but just wanted to get a second opinion. But
Yeah, and if you
that's
don't,
that.
if you don't want to call someone out in the form that they're in, call somebody else out. That's already where you're needed to be. Like if it's a weight or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm pulling Jordan Seal next year. I'm not going to call him and say, hey, let's meet to a certain weight. Jordan Seal actually up and down his weight anyway. So where he comes in at is where he comes in at. So
Isn't he typically around your weight anyway or a little lighter?
yeah, give or take.
Yeah. So I mean that's going to be close anyway. Now if he shows up at 300 pounds, that might be different. I mean that could be a little different.
I don't think he'll do that, but no.
No, no.
All right. What else we got?
Well, that was match one. So Matt was pretty dominant. Good for him. Good to see it. And then we saw Sarah versus Heidi. Now maybe Robin can give us some insight on it. That was the first match of it all. So Sarah versus Heidi. I think the way it went was I think Sarah won the first match or something like that. If I was listening to the commentary correctly, or maybe even the first two, and then Heidi kind of took over.
And like we all say, when it comes to super matches, it's all about adjustments. Like if you lose, you have to make adjustments. If you don't, whoever beats you is going to keep doing that until you make them adjust. That's how I've always, viewed a challenge match, super match, whatever you want to call it. It's up to the guy or girl who lost to make that adjustment, or they're going to keep coming with the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Stevie Diamond says, "Is Rebecca versus Sarah true?" I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Yes, Stevie Diamond. That will take place December 10th at the Monster Factory. It's Rebecca Todd versus Sarah Latona.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's making her comeback. So that'll be on the same card as John Brzezinski versus Michael Todd.
Wow. Don't want to jump around too much, but Michael Todd, holy crap.
Did you see how he looks now? Like, woo, man.
Did.
Yes, Robin said Sarah won the first and second. Okay.
Then look gassed. Fox 8 ball here. How you doing, brother? All right.
Fox.
So we got those. Then we had BLM versus Artem. And from what I gathered, again, not seeing it, but listening to it, Artem looked like he had a little bit of something for BLM in the very first match and then made an adjustment. BLM took over, and that was kind of it. The one thing that puzzled me a little bit about this match is Artem, I don't consider to be elite in the United States.
There you have it.
And BLM is holding himself out as being like the next big thing in the unstoppable force. And if I can do what I manifest and believe I can do, and the gods are smiling that day, I can beat the world. And then he kind of has his it taken out of him a little bit by a guy that's supposed to be not on his level and not close to him in size.
I got a question. I would love to know if anybody, well, Robin, you were there. Maybe you can answer this. I would love to know what weight BLM was in, because I know when he pulled Chan Shaw, and I'm only saying that because according to the In the Hook rankings, he is dubbed in the 220 class. Now I know for a fact he was not 220 when he pulled Chan Shaw. And so I'd be kind of curious to know, what did he weigh in when he pulled Artem?
I'm curious to hear that too.
Because like, okay, you're pulling Artem, and Artem has just skyrocketed to the top of the ranks in the US, and I'm just kind of curious to know, what was it, a weight cap? I don't know what's going on. I mean, was that even discussed in the press conference? Was there a weight they had to meet or what? I'm not even sure what's going on with that.
Now, Heidi versus Sarah, the match makes perfect sense. It's a close
Right.
match. Artem versus BLM never made a ton of sense to me. Based on where these guys are at, I kind of figured BLM would win it.
Right.
Um,
Phil Wood is in the house.
yeah. And then we go on to, we already talked about Matt versus Crassy.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be Lars. Crassy subbed in. Then we go on and we have, well, we're out of order, but Todd Hutchings versus Porkchop.
I heard, excuse my French, not a goddamn thing about this match. I heard nothing about it.
It looked like Todd was okay. So Porkchop at the press conference, after they're done shit talking me and talking about how he got a pin on me at nationals, talked about how he knows he can't hook Todd Hutchings, but there's a huge problem with that. Porkchop can't top roll. Not very well. He's got shorter arms than Todd Hutchings. I think
Wow.
Todd Hutchings is actually taller than him.
Really?
Yeah. And if you can't hook him with your massive arms and power, that's a long day. And everything I saw pointed towards Hutchings just having a sparring session. Like it was
A seminar.
yeah. So hey, Phil Woody with a super sticker, $1.49 of some currency.
When was the last time we had a super chat?
Well, it's been a long time, man.
Wow. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Thank you. Question: when you pulled Porkchop at nationals, he did get that one win on you. What exactly happened?
I tried to come right through kind of inside with him, and I pulled him over a bit, and then we had a bit of a battle, and the match ended on fouls, but admittedly I probably would have gotten pinned at some point.
Right.
Now I came back and just top rolled him, and his hand opened right up.
There you go.
But even on the right arm, when I was pulling him in the after pull, and I know we don't count after pulls, but I
No.
felt a little bit less powerful with him in a hook, but I could still hold him. But it wasn't nearly this discrepancy in the opposite direction as when I tried to open up his hand. It just popped right open for me, and I could pull him over in a top roll. So we also have was on here that was just interesting. Porkchop was trying to Kings move him.
Do you want your arm broken?
Bizarre strategy. Listening to a potential coach that was there. Don't think it was a good idea. But Hutchings, it was not a close match. And then we go on to like the most the one of the first matches we saw, because we saw Alex Krudetcha get booked to come over here and compete in this event.
Right.
We saw at the press conference that basically Alex and Devin negotiated terms for their match coming up. Well,
to take some of the shine off the actual event itself.
Well, his current opponent is sitting there wondering, like, what the hell are you guys talking about? You got I've got a match with this guy tomorrow, and you're already way past me on to the next thing,
which is disrespectful.
Yeah, for sure it is. Alex did comment that he thought that maybe Matt had more power than me on the right arm. Not a fair statement. Might be true, might not be true, but not a fair statement, because that I'm just going to try to forget that whole Arm Wars experience for pulling's sake. But you got these guys. You got Rick, you got Alex. Rick is talking about closing up holes in his game. But holes in his game are not where he got beat. he got beat on just not being nearly as strong as his opponent.
Right.
And Alex didn't even have to really hit. He just kind of pulled him over. Like it was.
Oh, go ahead.
They must have paid a small fortune to get Alex over here. And he came over here for, like, no disrespect to Rick. In Canada, Rick is a top 5 guy.
Yeah.
But he's not world elite. He's just not. And you don't just take on a guy that's been kind of taking on the world a little bit lately at that level. There's just too big of a discrepancy. I mean, yeah, it was one-sided.
I was just going to ask that. Like, how active is Rick in comparison? Where, we've seen Alex at, how many times have we seen him at the King of Table? We've seen him on the elite level putting in work. And as far as Rick, no disrespect to him, but exactly how active is he? I mean, in comparison.
Well, he hasn't. I don't think he's pulled outside of Ontario in quite a long time. Which, if you ask, some of the groups in Ontario, the nationals are basically determined between the 2 Ontario provincial borders. But, yeah, not active as far as I know.
Right.
And certainly not on that level. Like, a lot of people had to figure out who Rick was, and that's not disrespectful to Rick. He's just not. He hasn't been traveling to big events.
Right.
So, I mean, how do you had an event where, there's a couple good matches and a few like really, really lopsided matchmaking matches, coupled with a different attempt at a pay-per-view and for a recorded event, which kind of takes the shine off of it a little bit.
And again, I don't want to get too negative about it because, Magna, she did a lot to get this thing going. I mean, you had, Kradeka, the crown jewel, I would imagine, of the event coming over, which should get a bunch of eyes on there. Krasimir, with his, accolades, should get a bunch of eyes on here, But like I said, when you told me that it was pre-recorded, it was like, ow, Because even if something's live, someone's talking about it, whether it be like if it was on YouTube for some odd reason, there's a live chat, people are talking about it, as they go. And it's just kind of like, oh, that was a good match. And it's like, well, it already happened. It's like, wait, what? So my comments are irrelevant now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it all. I mean, certainly they'll learn from this and move forward. But it was a Zoom meeting.
So was there a tournament too, aside from I'm assuming there's a tournament because Robin was there. She competed. Crazy George was there. Heck, I think I even saw a clip of Gary Goodrich there. Devin had on. He had like a 2-minute video, and he had Gary Goodrich come on for a minute and said a few things. So I'm assuming there was a tournament. Yes.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a tournament to follow.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was some weird stuff that happened there too. Like the promoter left the building or something during the tournament, but I can't really comment on that. It's like third-hand information at this point, but
wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. But let's move forward, man.
Okay.
What do you got coming up?
I am taking a little time off. Got some nicks and crannies I want to, get over and stuff, I'm looking forward. I may or may not. I don't know. I got to see what's going on. I may venture to a tournament in Reno, Nevada in October 6th, I believe. I might do it. I might not. I'm in the process of getting my God, I'm losing my brain right now. Talk to me, Charlie Brown. What am I trying to say? Passport. I'm in the process of getting my passport, I want to get that. I got to get that soon. I'm looking forward to TAL number 3. Looking your match against Robbie Topi. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be awesome. Arm Wars is going on as we speak. I'm telling you, it's awesome. There may be an opportunity for me to maybe be on the next Michael Monster Factory event, not the one in December, but one next year. I believe they want to do at least once every season, I guess, meaning like 4 times a year, but just kind of spread them out every 3 months or whatever. Talking to Rebecca Todd, she was on my show last Friday. Michael kind of joined into. They're going to expand the Monster Factory, meaning that when they have another event, the people who are involved, they're going to house them. They're going to house them in their, with rooms and everything. They're adding on. That's pretty cool. So
that is interesting. And
yes,
I'm going through this thing myself right now, getting ready for Robbie, but I'm hoping it's going to be a kickoff to returning to a certain level of arm wrestling, and hopefully trying to get back a couple of these matches from the past year.
Yeah, I mean, after Canadian Nationals for you, you've been kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna lay low. I got a few things. I had this big vacation that's come and gone now. I got Robbie Topi, so I know your training's all like that now. I know your diet's gonna be on point. So I like your approach to it. I really do. So, hey, nothing but luck and God, November 26th, yes?
Yeah, and Jeff Frank was just phoning me during the show, so he's either watching or he's just forgot that we're on at this time.
Oh, come on, Jeff. Come on, Jeff. What is going on?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and I got a conversation with one of the powers that be from something else. I think you know what I'm talking about. And, that may determine what I might do the rest of the calendar year. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, because I would really love to go to Canada for that event, TAL3. Even Jeff said, hey, let me know. We can get you a match, that kind of thing. That would be awesome. But we're going to have to see how the cards fall, But I did announce, yes, I have a match with Jordan Seal, left-handed, a whole year from now, September 9th, 2023. Best of 5 left-handed.
More than a year.
Yeah, more than a year. So I got a whole more than a year to get myself ready, prepare for that. But I'll have a lot more stuff in between now and then. But, I like to plan stuff out because then I can always backtrack as far as training when I need to start. That's kind of weird, but yeah, I like to do that kind of stuff.
It's I had a training partner that got me into the sport, and he would train for he'd wait till 2 months before a world championship to start really training.
Did that work for him?
It showed up, and he got silver medals whenever he did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't pull that off. I'd have to be nose to the ground, grind for so long because it's mental. I think sometimes the bad thing about having a match so far out that you don't want to lose interest. Does that make sense? Like, okay, oh, I got how many months now? Oh, I got fucking 12 months now. And then it's like, okay, but if it's one of your biggest matches, maybe not so much Jordan's, but for me, one of my biggest matches, I want to make sure I don't get crushed, 3-0 like I did against Topi is what I'm getting at. And I knew I was going to pull Robbie a year in advance,
Hey, we got some dislikes on this one, but it's all good.
Dislikes? What's going on with that?
94.7 means a couple people have hit. They don't like it. They don't like it. They probably don't like my comments about their hero, but that's okay.
I was going to say, well, are they Devin fans?
Yeah.
You guys need to have that match and just be done with it and move. And after that, move forward.
It's not going to be done anything though, because it's not even about arm wrestling anymore.
Yeah, that I mean, when it gets personal like that, it's kind of like, all right, it was about arm wrestling. Now you just kind of like you're sticking, you're jabbing me, and it's like, okay, it's not even funny anymore.
No. And I want no part of it, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I don't want to go through what I would have to go through just to have that match. When there's lots of other opportunity out there. Here's something I want to ask you about.
Yes.
And I've told Engin that I am interested in this. If he were to put on, he's announced that he might, not that he is, that he might put on a tournament in Turkey. And each of the class winners will be guaranteed a super match in the following or subsequent East versus West. And whether they win or not in that super match determines whether or not they come back again.
I talked about that briefly with my teammates this past Saturday. And I guess from what I understand, it's a tournament that he's going to hold. So, yeah, you pay your own way, you go there and all that kind of stuff. And depending on if you win your class, then you get selected, correct?
Yes.
Now, does he match you up with, wherever he thinks? I mean, how does that work out, though?
I'm sure that that's how it would work out. He would find you an opponent that he thinks would make a good match, and he would do it like that. It's a path to get in there for the people that aren't in there that really want to be there.
I like the idea, kind of like a wild card deal. But my question would be, what's the turnaround? Like if he had this tournament, let's just say it's February, right? And he has this tournament, people come over and compete. And let's just say I take first place, just for conversation, people settle down. I take first place. Then what is the turnaround for me to come back there? That would be my question. Is it 3 months, 4 months? I mean, because we know the people Engin dig up from over there are going to be legit. And so for somebody like me or you to know if I'm going to pull this, guy over there, I need to know ahead of time, who am I pulling? That way you have enough time to train for that person. It's only fair because they're already over there going, yeah, just give me a name. We're kind of in the dark, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit. However, it's kind of be like the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
You get all these guys that come in and the winner gets a contract. But, if you've had great entertaining fights, you're getting the call. And we all know that, even if you didn't win the whole thing. So, and you also would have to assume that a lot of Engin's guys that are kind of unknown would be pulling in those tournaments as well. So they're not going to be easy to win, but make a good show of it and maybe you get the call.
What I don't want to see is, and I'm going to use you as an example, Ryan. I don't want to see what happened to you at WAL, right? Where you had one match under contract. I know we could talk about it now, but under contract, you had one match and that was it.
Actually, Jody,
Ooh.
I had one match before I was under contract. Then they gave me a contract and I had 0 matches for 2 years.
Oh, so that's how that worked.
Yeah.
So you pulled Jerry, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can, I don't know how much you can discuss this, but you pulled Jerry. Okay, you lost 3-0. Fine. I'm thinking, all right, I thought you were under contract at that point. So I'm thinking, cool. And you never got a call. But I think you were going to have a match, but I think COVID kind of knocked a lot of that stuff out, I believe.
They were talking about me and Todd Hutchings, and they were talking about me and Matt at one point. They basically called me on a couple of weeks' notice and offered me Matt Mask when Michael Todd got injured because they were going to pull.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't take the match because, I've got a professional life and a personal life that I could not get out of it. And they offered me that one match on a couple of weeks' notice. I couldn't take it. And then I feel like COVID was there almost immediately after that or whatever. But, I went through a 2-year contract and WAL kind of shut down, but they were talking about it. So, I let them off the hook a little bit with the pandemic, but I think contracts are a thing of the past.
Yeah. Because I just don't want, and my point was going back to the Engin thing, you hold this tournament. I'm not saying those guys are contracted, but I'm kind of curious now, once you get on there, do you get invited back? Because Herman Stevens was a part of East First West 1. Haven't seen him since. Right?
And he took the match on short notice.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play. He just planned on being in Jonathan Breeda's corner.
against a guy that was considerably larger than him.
Right. Hasn't been invited back. Derek Smith, 0 for 2. Will he get invited back? I don't know.
Probably.
I'd be kind of curious to know how do you base these things on? You know what I mean?
I like to think it's just matchmaking, but who knows?
Right. So I'm just curious. How does that work? Because Matt Mask, same thing. Hasn't been invited back since.
No, I don't think that's true. I think Matt's actually got a match.
Is he has one coming up?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
He's got to pull Sandris.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was that weird situation where I think it was Irakli said, I'm not going to pull you. You're not ready for me. You got to prove yourself. So he says, well, Matt apparently said, who do you want me to pull? Irakli says Sandris. So he agreed to it. And then all of a sudden we see that Irakli's got a match with Lachlan, which is the guy that Sanders just beat. So
king of the table.
This is weird that this is all the way it all shakes out. That yeah, Matt's got to earn his way back to a guy, and the guy that he's earning his way to took the guy that lost the previous match. So
yeah. Oh, and by the way, we just had this thing that came out. So you're aware of Corey Miller, correct?
Of course I am, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys in Canada, but here in the States, they created this new thing. It's not a rankings, it's a ratings thing. It's called the AERS, errors or whatever you want to pronounce that. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the rating system. And basically, you're calculated by the points as far as how many wins you have in the tournament as opposed to how many losses you have, which is the only way you can actually dictate, where you belong in the ratings, not so much rankings. Because Bob Brown, you should probably check it out. Bob Brown did a video about this the other day, and basically you take all the tournaments, and right now they just started this probably a week ago maybe, and they have 40 tournaments already implemented, and they got 100 more that's on deck. So you plug them in, okay? Hey, Jody, you took first place, but you got one loss and you got maybe 8 wins or whatever. Then you calculate that and they generate all these points, and then they kind of put you in top whatever. But there's a lot more tournaments that haven't been entered yet that they still got to go through. Him and this other guy are going through. So as far as ratings go, that is probably the true thing you can do. Now, to be up in this upper echelon, because as Bob Brown says, the cream will rise to the top once everything's implemented. Problem is sometimes you have those paper brackets. A lot of people kind of toss them away once the tournament's all said and done. We're trying to clean up, throw them away, whatever. What you could do, screenshot them, send them to Corey. He will implement them in, and then, it'll get readjusted whenever they have time to do that. But that's just a new thing they came out with. I think it's pretty cool. That way people can't complain about, hey, well, I'm better than this guy. Now, again, with the rankings goes, I do understand how that works out, but it almost seems like you have to compete doggone every weekend just to maintain your spot or even go above. It almost feels that way.
It's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, but I thought that was a pretty cool thing they're doing now. So it's just in the early stages. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool thing,
Fantastic.
Oh, I guess Ryan said Chance did a video on that as well. Yeah, I would love to see his version. I don't know if this will have any effect on the In the Hook rankings, and that's always weird, right? So the In the Hook rankings, which is North America, Canada, United States, and then you got the U.S. fighter rankings, just the United States. But they're 2 different weight classes. I don't know if you're aware of that. They're 2 different weight classes because the In the Hook has a 220 class, and then the next one is a 242 class, whereas the U.S. rankings, there's a 230 class, and then a 231 and over. So it kind of just jostles everything, right? It's weird. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, my man, I think we're at about the end of what we wanted to talk about today, aren't we?
I think so. I hope at some point I can see some footage because, I'm just like you, an arm wrestling fan and a competitor. So I would love to see some of the footage on that. but I can't find nothing. So I don't know. Is there any lost footage? It's almost like Game of Arms season 2 lost footage. They were.
There are still images if you watch on Pradeep's channel, but they're screenshots from a Zoom meeting, so it's not the best quality. I'm hoping that they will release something in some official capacity, or they'll rely on somebody else kind of stealing it and putting it out themselves.
A Zoom meeting. That's still, yeah, okay. I still can't get over that. Like pre-recorded pay-per-view, you paid $19 for something that wasn't live, or was it $18 for something that wasn't live. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to, because I like Magda. I love her to death, but you always learn for something, right? Anytime you do something for the first time, you take a step back. Okay, this worked. This didn't work. Let's make the adjustment so we can do this. So the next time we have it, if there's a next time, we can make the right adjustment.
Yeah.
So.
All right, buddy. Well, if you haven't already, make sure you head over to Jody's channel and hit subscribe, and also here, and we'll be back in some more regular programming. So we'll be back next Monday. We don't foresee any interruptions, and yeah. Until then.
All right, everybody. You guys have a good Monday. For everybody in the United States, happy Labor Day.
And Canada. It's Canada as well. We have Labor Day up here, but we spell
it good. It just sucks that your Thanksgiving is next month and ours is at the weekend of the fucking TAO3. So
I thought of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody, thanks a lot. Ryan, good to have you back, my friend. I will see you next Monday.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
Take care, everybody.